there are different types of swarm intelligence techniques. Okay. So one of them was population based. If we population based. Am I clearly audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Population based algorithms were like PSO, ECHO, Grey Wolf optimization, and another one was based on evolutionary search. Evolutionary search based. That was your genetic algorithm. Okay. So we were primarily focused on this one for now. Okay, evolutionary search is a little bit different, similar concept, but a little bit different. In the last class, we started our PSO, particle swarm optimization. Okay, we have given you some of the concept, some idea. Today we are going to finish it. So definitely try to give some focus on today's class. Okay, this is going to be a little bit difficult to understand if you don't focus. Okay, acha. Now in PSO, we have seen some of the basic ideas that I have a search space, I have a large search space. If I have a small search space, we don't need these algorithms. Population based search, it is not for a small search area. It is for large search space, complex search space. We need this kind of algorithm in that cases. And I have this is a multi-agent system because I have multi-agent system. I have many AI agents trying to search for the solution. Okay. So this mimics the concept is like a group of birds. Group of birds trying to find food, trying to find food, trying to find food. Group of birds trying to find food in a valley. This was the idea. Okay. Now I have a group of birds trying to find a fruit, trying to find food in a valley. There are somewhere, some places, food is scattered. Okay, it can be very large space, and somewhere there is my food, small food, and here is some large amount of foods and birds. Okay, they are in many places. Okay, scattered randomly. So the algorithm is actually initialized. The algorithm is initialized with particles randomly distributed. In the search space. So particles are randomly distributed in the search space. Okay. Some are closer to the solution or the food. Some are far away from the food. Okay. Acha. Now the position of these particles we have represented using p vector. So using p vector and t. The position is x0, I, t, x1, I, t, dot, xn. N is the number of particles. Okay. And every particle here or every bird has a velocity. They are moving with a velocity. So velocity means they have a speed plus direction. They have a speed and direction. So let's say this bird, okay, this is moving in this direction with a particular velocity. So they can also change their velocity. It can move faster or slower. It can also change its direction. Okay, it can go this way, then this way, then this way, then this way. It can change its direction. Okay, so they have their own velocity and direction. It is also represented by a vector vi. So v0, I, t, tn, I, t. Okay. Now the question was based on hot. Based on hot, they will change their direction or speed. That is what we have to create. Okay. To create the algorithm, I have to define that properly. How the birds will actually change their velocity or direction. Now, there are two things. One is their intuition or experience. own experience. Where usually I had found food in previous. This is one thing. Another thing is imitate others where everyone else is going. Okay. So this is the cognitive behavior. This is the social behavior. Okay. So this is what we had studied in the last class. Any questions from now on? Any questions from till now?
No.
So let's start our algorithm. Okay, we are going to define our algorithm from now to understand. If you have any questions, let me know. That's right. Okay, so let's see. I have a scenario. A bird, they have found some scent on its own. So you to understand very clearly so that you can, if you try to memorize, it will not work. Okay. Look at this condition. Look at this scenario. So a bird have some scent on its own, have found some scent. Okay, but he's seeing that the other birds are moving in another direction. Now the question is, what will that bird do? He should follow his own scent, or he should actually try to imitate others. Look at the others because others are moving in another direction. In which direction he should go? কি মনে হয়? What do you think?
ইনটুইশন ইউজ করতে পারে।
It
Or
should move towards other birds. মানে কারণ obviously the birds are moving because there may be something like well মানে something in between আসলে মানে not one way or another.
Okay, so there are two things. Okay, whenever we are discussing, I discussed in the earlier in the last class. One is exploitation, one is exploration. We have two terms that will come into play. Exploitation means target the best solution you have so far. Exploration means evaluate the search space, the entire search space. Right. So exploitation means like যা পাইছি তাতেই খুশি আমি. Okay, whatever I have, I am satisfied with whatever I have got. Exploration means you, even if you found some solution, you want to look other areas as well because you are not sure whether this is a best solution. So you want to look at the other space as well. So there are two terms this will come into play: exploitation and exploration. We need to make a balance between these two for the algorithm to properly find the solution where the food is located, the optimal solution. You need to make a balance. If you focus entirely on exploitation, okay, then you will not find the solution. Because if you focus only on exploitation, then this, let's say this bird, will only look around it. It will not explore other areas. It will not go in this way. It will not go move that far if it just focus on exploitation, just looking at in its own search area. If you explore, that means you are covering a large area. That will take a little bit more time, but allow you to evaluate the search space. Now, we have to make a balance between these two. The question is how to make the balance. Question is it clear? We have to make the concept clear. We have to make a balance between these two to get the proper solution.
Yes, sir.
So we have to make a balance. The question is how to do that mathematically. Because you see, this is just a mathematical algorithm. Whatever I am trying to do, we are trying to do it mathematically. If you write a program, It has to be done mathematically, numerically. So the question is how to do this balance, how to create this balance mathematically. That's our goal. Okay. Any questions so far?
No, sir.
Sir, are you saying like to find the best solution, we have to combine both exploitation and exploration?
Yes, we have to combine.
Okay.
We need both of those things. You see, it's not just one bird, there are many birds. Let's say 20 birds or 50 birds. Each will behave in its own way. Okay, they will not behave the same way. Each one will behave on its own way. If everyone just exploit, তার মানে কি everyone is just looking at their own surrounding, you will not find the best solution. Okay. Again, if they do not exploit at all, they just keep exploring and exploring, they will never like কোনোটাতেই আমি স্যাটিসফাই হচ্ছি না, আমার সলিউশন পাচ্ছি কিন্তু আমি স্যাটিসফাই হচ্ছি না, সো ইউ উইল নেভার রিচ এ গোল. So you have to find a balance. You will exploit, but you will also explore. A balance between these two. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Acha. Now let's try to understand now. Okay. At each iteration, okay, each particle is updated according to its velocity. Okay. See, in the equation that you have run previously, there was iteration. So everything is done based on iteration. So at each iteration, okay, each particle is updated based on its own velocity. Okay. So if I write, for instance, the position at t plus 1 time, that means from the current time to the next time period. Okay, let's say 1 second after. That will be its current position plus how its velocity is changed. Okay, this is the term that will actually modify its position. Okay. Now the question is, what is this one? This one, velocity, is dominated by 3 factors. Okay, what are those factors? Omega multiplied by the current velocity, okay, plus C1 R1 into T best at iteration I and T minus I T plus C2 R2 PT, which is global best minus. So this is the update equation, velocity update. So velocity change means the position is changed of that particle. How the velocity is changed, that's what our question is. Okay. Velocity, how the particle is moving, is changing its direction, changing its position, everything is based on velocity. How the velocity is changed based on this equation. Okay, we are going to discuss this equation gradually, one by one.
স্যার একটা কোশ্চেন আছে
হ্যাঁ বলো।
স্যার মানে এখানে একটা বার্ড তো একটা এজেন্ট রাইট
Yes.
তাহলে ভেলোসিটি বা পজিশন এগুলো কি
Agent is not agent is the bird. Bird is not just standing still, it is moving. So the moving based on what? If I'm moving, I will have a velocity. আমি তো একটা velocity নিয়ে move করবো. So let's say you are an agent, you are searching for assignment solution in your north of residence. So one student is at room 121, one student is 212. They are not just standing there, they are looking for the solution. They are moving to one room to another room. So their movement is the velocity. Velocity is their movement. Their current position is where they are located. Based on your velocity, if you're moving in the second floor direction, your velocity is in that direction, so your position is changed in that direction. Is it clear?
এআই এর ভাষায় এই ভেলোসিটি মুভমেন্ট পজিশনিং এই জিনিসগুলোকে জেনারেলাইজড করে কি বলে
সো এআই ভাষায় তোমার এজেন্ট তুমি কি নিউমেরিক্যালি তুমি আপডেট করবা, জেনারেলাইজ করে কিছু বলা হচ্ছে না, তুমি জাস্ট তোমার
Okay.
ইকুয়েশন যখন ঢুকাবা, ইকুয়েশনের মধ্যে তোমার তো একটা নিউমেরিক্যাল ভ্যালু থাকবে, সো
হুম।
ইউ আর গোইং টু আপডেট দ্যাট ভ্যালু নিউমেরিক্যালি বেসড অন দিস সিনারিওস। ওকে,
Understood.
আচ্ছা, so what are these terms? Okay, this one, the first one, this is called inertia. Okay, the second term you have here, this is your cognitive behavior. And the third term here is the social behavior. So what is inertia? See, I have here, I have W, that is a proportional constant. We'll discuss it a little bit later. Multiple by the current velocity. Okay, everyone has their own velocity, multiple by that value. Okay, that will matter a lot. C1, R1, I have two constant multiplied. Okay, multiplied with what? You see, P means the position. Okay, so this is like a vector. Think of it like a vector summation. The concept is like, from my current position, I will move towards the best position. Why I? Because the current best. Okay, so far you have seen, let's say, if you have explored 3 different places, the one that is the current best, you try to move in that direction, the current best. Are you following? So this is like a vector summation. Think of it like a vector summation. This will move you towards the current best position, so from your surrounding. So that's like the cognitive behavior I mentioned earlier. This is the cognitive behavior, intuition or experience. Acha. The last part is C2R2. Again, two other variables, two other coefficients, we'll discuss a little bit later. And what are they are dominated, they are actually কি বলবো, modify করতেছে. So the global best, from its current position, what is the global best? It is going to move it in that direction. Global best till that time period. Okay. So that is the social behavior. So I have one term, inertia, I have the cognitive behavior, I have the social behavior, all three in this equation. And now I have to understand how this equation actually works. Is it clear so far? Okay, wait a little bit, we'll gradually discuss, it will gradually becomes more clear. Acha, let's see. At each iteration, all the particles updated in parallel, updated in parallel. It means it is not like one after another. No, all the particles, like from 1 second after, everyone will move to a certain area. So if you have like 20 students searching for solution, 1 second later, they will be in a different position 1 second later. So all of them will move simultaneously. Is it okay? It's not like chronologically one after another. No, simultaneously. They move simultaneously. Achha. Now, their movement is subject to inertia, and it is governed by personal best and global best. So the movement, you see, this is what is changing their velocity. The inertia term is the velocity is multiplied by omega. So that is actually controlling their velocity. The velocity will increase or decrease, or in which direction it increase or decrease. That will be controlled by this parameter. Okay. And in which direction they are going to move, that will be controlled by these two. This one and this one. One is the personal best currently that you have, and the global best. All the particles, once you move in parallel, what is the global best position so far? ঠিক আছে, you measure at each iteration, you measure these things, you measure it and keep in memory, and keep that in memory. What is the personal best so far for a particular particle, and what is the best solution for all the particles? You keep that in memory. Okay, any question?
আপনার প্রতি ইটারেশনের পর গ্লোবাল গ্লোবাল বেসটা কেমনে ডিফাইন করা হচ্ছে?
প্রত্যেকটা ইটারেশনের পর পার্টিকেল গুলো কোথায় গেল, ঠিক আছে, সেটা ওই মুহূর্তে তারা কি কোনো ফুড পেয়েছে, বা কত ফুড পাইলে কতটুকু পাইছে, এরকম ফুড নাও পাইতে পারে, তাহলে গ্লোবাল বেসড এই মুহূর্তে এখন পর্যন্ত পাওয়া যায়নি, এরভাবে ডিফাইন হবে থাকবে।
এটার জন্য কি কোনো প্যারামিটার বা ফাংশন থাকে যে ওইটা দিয়ে
এটা একটা গোল টেস্ট থাকবে, লাস্ট ক্লাসে পড়ছো না, একটা গোল টেস্ট অলওয়েজ থাকবে।
আচ্ছা, গোল টেস্টের কাছাকাছি
হ্যাঁ।
অনুযায়ী
there will always be a goal test. Am I closer to the solution? Have I found the solution? How much good is the solution is? A kind of goal test will always be there.
স্যার এটা একটা ফলো আপ কোশ্চেন ছিল। সো আপনার ধরেন এখানে তো বিভিন্ন এজেন্ট বিভিন্ন পার্টিকেল আছে, সো এটার গ্লোবাল বেসড কি কিউমুলেটিভটাই হবে, কিউমুলেটিভলি একটা পার ইটারেশনের পর একটা গ্লোবাল বেস্ট থাকবে সবগুলো একটা কনসিডার করে?
সবগুলো একটা কনসিডার করে একটা গ্লোবাল বেস থাকবে। গ্লোবাল বেস্ট will be one. Local best will be very different for different particles. The local best different for different particles. Global best means everyone will have only one global best in that particular scenario. Okay. আচ্ছা,
স্যার এখানে ইনারশিয়াটা কিভাবে ইমপ্যাক্ট ফেলতেছে?
আসতেছি। ইনার্শিয়া, ওই যে বললাম, ইনার্শিয়া ইজ changing the velocity, increase or decrease the speed of their movement. Okay, that will be controlled by the inertia. I will show you a little bit later. Just wait. আচ্ছা,
স্যার প্রতি ইটারেশনে কি গ্লোবাল বেস চেঞ্জ হবে?
হ্যাঁ, প্রতি ইটারেশনে গ্লোবাল বেস চেঞ্জ হবে। এভরি ইটারেশন your global best is updating. These informations are updated. Any question? আচ্ছা, let me move on.
পার্সোনাল বেস্ট আর গ্লোবাল বেস্ট অ্যাকচুয়ালি কি এটা বুঝতেছি।
Personal best হচ্ছে, let's see. আচ্ছা, আমি আবার উদাহরণ দিচ্ছি। You are searching for assignment solution again. Okay, let's say you are in 121. Okay. So you are searching in the room 123, 125, 126. Out of these three, you have found, here you did not find any solution. Here you find solution of only one problem. Let's say you have 10 problems. Here you have found solution of 3 problems. For at this moment, so far after 3 iteration, okay, this means you have moved to 3 rooms. That means 3 iterations have been gone. After 3 iteration, which one is your local best? This one, right?
Yes, sir.
বোঝা যাচ্ছে? So
Yes.
till now, this is your local best. Out of all these 3, you are moving. This is your local best. After in the 4th iteration, you visit 119 and you have find 5. So now this is your local best, but the direction is exactly in the opposite direction. So your direction is changed in the other way. But here you have, so far you have the local best. So first from this position you are moving here, here, here. Now you are moving in this direction. So this is the direction. Although it is now linear, but the direction is moving like this way. So that's the local best currently. Global best is of within all the students that are moving in the entire hall of residence, where they are moving. Okay. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
আচ্ছা, let's say gradually these things will much more clear. This will be much more clear. আচ্ছা, so particles, the bars that you have, particles are moving, keeping their best. So particles are moving, keeping their best, keeping their own best in memory. Okay. So particles that you have, so the strengths, you have your own best. Once you get to the better position, you forget the previous ones. আচ্ছা, ওটা এখন important না. So you are keeping your own best in the memory. That's the local best. Now, for the iterations, after 3 iterations, 5 iterations, 10 iterations, over the iterations, the speed of each particle is accelerated towards its So the thing is like, so particles are moving. So whenever you are finding a solution, you are not stopping there. You are still exploring. Okay. So you are not just stopping to a solution. You are still exploring. Okay. So when you are exploring your movement, it is dominated by two factors: your best position, your best solution so far, and the best global position. Now let's see the parameters that you have. The parameters or the coefficients. The parameters or coefficients will determine. So what are the parameters? Which is C and R. Remember in the equation, we had this C1 R1 and C2 R2. The C value and R value. Okay. This C and R value, these parameters will determine whether to prioritize local or global best. Okay. So this C and R value, cursor visible, cursor কোন cursor? So the parameters or coefficient will determine whether to prioritize your local or global best. আচ্ছা, কিভাবে একটু পরে আসতেছি, একটু ধৈর্য ধরো, আপাতত জাস্ট নোট করে রাখো, পরের কাজে আসবে। Or we can write it like this way: control the levels of. So that means these coefficients will determine how much should I follow my local best, how much should I follow my global best. Okay, that will be controlled by these values, C value and R value. Clear? Okay, একটু ওয়েট করো, আমি আগাই, তারপর আমি আবার তোমাদের কোশ্চেন করে ইয়ে দিচ্ছি। So here comes the question: what is the impact? What is the impact of these coefficients? Let's see. Let's give you a scenario. Let's give you a scenario now. Okay. Some birds. Don't get bored. একটু ধৈর্য ধরতে হবে এটা বোঝার জন্য। Some birds may be far away from the solution. So some birds may be far away from the solution. Now, try to understand. For these birds, let's say I had previously, here is my solution, there is my solution, and let's say this bird, this is very far away, currently in the opposite direction to either of the solutions. So it can happen, let's say the base solution is in the fifth floor and you are currently in the first floor, so your solution is very far away. At this point, if follow your own instincts, what will happen if you follow your own instincts? কি হবে?
স্যার এটা কখনো ফুডের কাছে যেতে পারবে না।
Yes, if you just follow your own instincts, there will be no solution. You will not be able to find your solution because you are too far away from the original optimal solution. So if you just focus on your cognitive behavior, okay, if you focus on your cognitive behavior, you will not be able to reach the solution. Okay, so since you are far away from that, what do you have to do? You have to look at others. You have to look at others. When you look at others where they are moving, that will actually কি বলবো, force you toward move you towards your towards the optimal solution. Okay, so the thing is, so as you can understand from this scenario, both of them are necessary. Okay, these two, local and global, both are necessary. Depending on where the particle is located, you don't know where the particle is going to be located. Okay, where the food is located, you don't know. So you have to have some, both of them, local based, global. So you need both of them. You need to give some, like কি বলবো, you need to give some effort, put some effort on both of them, so that actually you can reach the solution. Each part can reach the solution. বোঝা যাচ্ছে আমার কথা?
Shouldn't I
Yes, sir.
focus on global based then নাকি?
হ্যাঁ বলো।
মানে তখন কি আমার গ্লোবাল বেসডে ফোকাস করা উচিত হবে না, যদি মানে আমি এজ এ বার্ড যদি অনেক ফার অ্যাওয়ে ফ্রম সলিউশন থাকি?
Yes, তুমি যদি অনেক far away from the solution এ থাকো, your local base is not going to is not going to bring you closer to the optimal solution. So you have to look at others. Look at others means হচ্ছে global based. এই যে look at others মানে কি হয়ে গেল, এই যে গ্লোবাল বেস মানে কি, এটাই তো সোশ্যাল বিহেভিয়ার, লুকিং এট আদার্স। সোশ্যাল বিহেভিয়ার মিনস লুকিং এট আদার্স। So that means your focus, a little more focus should be on this term. Are you following?
Yes, sir.
Now, if you think of it from the perspective of the AI agent, they don't have any clue. Am I closer to the solution or far away from the solution? So that's why it becomes a little bit tricky. আচ্ছা, আসতেছে। আচ্ছা, let's see. এখন আমরা একটু কোএফিসিয়েন্ট গুলো এখন আমরা একটু একটা একটা করে বুঝি, তাহলে আমাদের সবকিছু বোঝা হয়ে যাবে। কোএফিসিয়েন্টস। আচ্ছা, so the first one we had was omega. This was our inertia weight. Inertia weight. What was our term? This was actually multiplied by our current velocity. Okay, so this is going to control the velocity of the particles. Okay, so let's see. আচ্ছা, so your velocity is proportional to, আচ্ছা, now you see inertia weight is like a proportional factor, a proportional constant. Think of it like a proportional constant. So this is actually makes you move. Okay, how much you are going to move. So from your current position, so you are going to move this distance, or you are going to move this distance. Okay, or you are going to move this way, or you are going to move that way. This is something that will be controlled by this value. Are you following? Sorry, একটু ভুল বললাম। Directions will be controlled by the other two parameters. How much you are moving in that direction will be controlled by this. আচ্ছা, now question is, if W is too high, তখন কি হবে?
ও হচ্ছে ওই দিকেই যাইতে থাকবে, মানে ও যেদিকে
ভেলোসিটি তো অনেক বেশি যাবে, বেশি হবে
কি বেশি হবে?
ভেলোসিটি।
হ্যাঁ, ভেলোসিটি অনেক বেশি হবে। তার মানে কি হচ্ছে? ভেলোসিটি বেশি হলে
স্পিডটা বেসিক্যালি যেই দিকটা ডিরেকশন ফিক্স ছিল ওই স্পিডে বেশি টান দেবে আর কি।
এক্সপ্লোরেশন বেশি হবে।
আচ্ছা, so if your omega is too high, লাস্ট এরিয়াটা ঠিক আছে, there will be more exploration. Okay, if omega is low, there will be more exploitation. Think of it like this way. If you're moving in a high speed, you don't have the chance to look at all the rooms, visit all the rooms that you have nearby. because you are moving at fast, you're moving very fast. So you are at 119. Without looking at 120, you are jumping to 121. Two step or jumping to 124 directly. So since your movement is very high, so if your omega value is very high, you are going from 124, সেখান থেকে 130, সেখান থেকে 200, 230. Okay, you are moving at a high speed, so you are exploring more. Okay, you are exploiting less. You are looking at your surrounding less, rather you are looking at, you are moving very fastly, you are looking at more places, you want to cover more places. Are you following?
So it means it may miss the food that is within these two areas. Like if you are moving from 120 to 124, it will miss if there is any food in 123.
একবার বলো, বুঝিনি। 119 থেকে 124 গেলাম, হ্যাঁ কি বললাম? 120
119 থেকে যদি 124 যাই, তাহলে কি 123 যদি কোনো ফুড থাকে তো সলিউশন ঠিক আছে।
সে মিস করবে, কারণ সি ইটারেশন, আই এম কনসিডারিং ওয়ান ইটারেশন, হাউ মাচ দে আর মুভিং পার ইটারেশন। In one iteration, if it moves to here and here, 119, he comes to 124. Then you are checking. Understand? After each iteration, you are checking what is your current best, what is the global best. Anything inside, you are not checking. So when you go for 101 to the 124 within one iteration, so you are not checking what is inside. So in your search space, from this position, it is moving in the next iteration, it has come from here to here. So then you see, you know what was the, like, your solution, like how much food do you have or whether you have any food. Then you check again at this position. You don't check anywhere inside. Okay, within this range, you don't check. বোঝা যাচ্ছে আমার কথা?
ডিরেকশন কি চেঞ্জ হবে?
ডিরেকশনটা চেঞ্জ করবে হচ্ছে এই অন্য দুইটা ভ্যালু, আমার ইকুয়েশনের অন্য যে দুইটা ভ্যালু আছে, the other two variables in the equation, that will actually change the direction. This is the velocity. The direction comes from the direction term comes from the other two variables. আসতেছি আমি একটা একটা করে। আচ্ছা, so this is clear what is omega inertia. This actually affects the velocity of your movement. Okay, if too high, too much.
Can this value be negative?
Omega is always positive. Negative means velocity negative. Omega velocity. No, it is not negative. It is always positive. All the terms are always positive. Negative is the direction change. Direction will be negative direction. That means you are moving in the opposite direction, but the constants are always positive. Okay.
কি ওমেগা জাস্ট মানে ডিরেকশনের উপর ইম্প্যাক্ট ফেলে না, জাস্ট স্পিডটার উপর ইম্প্যাক্ট ফেলে আর কি, মানে যেটাকে
Speed টার
ভেলোসিটি স্পিডের মধ্যে স্পিড বলি আর কি।
Yes, স্পিডের উপর ইফেক্ট ফেলাবে। আচ্ছা, now let's see. So if you are changing direction too frequently, so you see this is the velocity, right? This is the velocity, and there is another term, other two terms that will actually give you the direction, which direction to move. Okay, so since you are moving very fast, okay, and at every iteration, if those terms actually change the direction, so that means you are moving too fast in different direction. তারপর এখানে যাচ্ছি, তারপর এখানে যাচ্ছি, তারপর এখানে যাচ্ছি. If this kind of things happen, so what will happen? The solution, will it converge or diverge?
ডাইভার্জ করবে।
It will diverge. The solution will diverge. So একবার এইদিকে যাই, একবার ওইদিকে যাচ্ছি, একবার ওইদিকে যাচ্ছি randomly. So খুব বেশি যদি randomly ছোটাছুটি করে তাহলে সলিউশনটা আসবে না. So if you are changing the direction too frequently, then we will not have the solution. Okay, so you see omega value is higher is good, but there is a direction as well. Your omega is high, you are exploring, ঠিক আছে, but also if your direction is also changing like this way every iteration, you don't know what is going to be a local based or global based. So every iteration you're moving too fast, but also the direction is changing, then the solution will not will not converge, it will diverge. This is one issue with very high W omega. So lower omega, usually not too low, lower omega, not too low, not too low, usually leads to a stronger convergence. Why so? You see, when you have low omega, particles able to change Okay, so if omega is not very high, even not too low either, that actually usually leads to a stronger convergence. Why? You see, you want to move, not too small. যে এই যে অল্প একটু করে দেখলাম, অল্প একটু দেখলাম, অল্প একটু দেখলাম. If its movement is too slow, you will not be able to cover the search space. Okay, you will stuck in a very small space because the large search space can be very large. But if you move too high value, so that the solution will never converge. Okay, so usually lower value of omega, okay, leads to the convergence. It depends on your search space. If the search space is very large, আচ্ছা আমি তোকে একটা typical value দেই. Omega usually is kept between 0 and 1. Okay, so let's say in a moderate search area, moderate search space, you take omega equals to 0.2, 0.3. Okay, in a moderate search space, fine. But if the search space is very large, should you keep it 0.3 or should you increase it a little bit or decrease it a little bit?
Increase.
Huh?
Increase.
Increase. So if I consider it as the optimal one, if the search space যদি তোমার অনেক বড় হয়, then omega value should be a little bit higher than that. Okay, this is for general size. Larger search space means you have to omega value should be increased a little bit. Okay, so concept is like this. It is related to the problem that you have, but the idea is it should not be very large. So if omega is greater than 1, it usually diverges. That is the general rule of thumb. Okay, divergence. If omega is greater than 1, it leads to divergence. So never make it greater than 1. Always keep it within this region. Acha. So particles within this range, particles who are able to change directions, also move and explore a little bit, but some constraint. You don't make it excessively. একদম ছেড়ে দিলে হবে না. আচ্ছা. Is it clear how omega actually controls the first parameter, first coefficient?
Yes, sir.
Acha. That is on inertia weight. Acha. Now then comes number 2. We have our R1 and R2. Okay. See, the equation was like this: C1 R1 into P local based minus PI plus C2 R2 P global based minus PI. Acha. So these are the vector direction, vector summation. Acha. So this is like this constants, this multiplication factor C1 R1, the multiplication value. This is going to control how much you are putting weight on this. This multiplication will actually control how much you are putting weight on global direction. Okay, are you moving to the local direction, local based direction, or are you moving to the global based direction? That will be controlled by this. Now we'll come to C1 and C2 later. Let's come to R1 and R2 first. This R1 R2, these are unique for each particle as well as each iteration. And these values are stochastically adjusted. And the value is usually kept between 0 and 2. Yeah, এর মানে কি? You see, these values, this proportional constant, these are unique. That means they are different. Not unique, actually different for different particles. And you change this value randomly in each iteration and for each particle. So why do we do that?
based on the updated environment, we change that so it can adjust properly.
So see, the purpose of this particle is to insert randomness in the behavior. You see, we are trying to model a natural behavior of birds or ants. Okay. Now, all the birds are not going to act in the same way. So if you see all the birds have same R value, same value, then everyone will be moving in the same direction. Everyone will be moving in the same way. সবাই একইভাবে হাঁটবে, একইভাবে দৌড়াবে, তাহলে তো হবে না। So to ensure randomness, that everyone is behaving in their own way. Okay, every person have their own understanding, own movement, own velocity. So that everyone move in their own way, you insert this randomness. Okay, so this will
So randomness টা actually কেন necessary?
আচ্ছা আসতেছি, দাঁড়াও। আচ্ছা আচ্ছা, এটা পুরো ফুললি আন্ডারস্ট্যান্ড করার জন্য C1 C2 টা একটু লাগতো। আচ্ছা দাঁড়াও আমি একটু বলে নিই। So let's say you have one particle here in the search space. Okay, you have one particle moving in this direction, another particle moving in this direction, another particle moving in this direction, another particle. Do you want this, that everyone is moving in the same direction?
No.
You want, okay, এটাই ঠিক আছে, okay, it should explore a little bit in the other direction. You see the local based, now let's say global based. আচ্ছা সর্বপ্রথম ধরো যে আমার সবগুলো হচ্ছে গ্লোবাল বেস্টের দিকে যাচ্ছে। Okay, let's say everyone is moving towards the global based. আচ্ছা, but if there is no randomness, if you don't have the R value there, then everyone will move in that particular direction, right? Now, if you keep the R value, you see when you are multiplying, it is moving in the global base, but multiple by a factor. So 0.1 by global best, 0.9 by global best. What is the difference? This one will focus on move in the global base direction very strongly, but this one will take some time. It will move in a small direction. Now, let's say here you have 0.1 to the global best. On the other side, randomness এর কারণে 0.5 into local best চলে আসলো. So in which direction now the particle is going to move? This one or that one? This one will be much higher value, so it is going to move more in this direction. So the movement will be like dominated more by this than this. Okay, so this will actually, this kind of randomness, even if found your global best, this will ensure that particle is still explore some other area. আসবে, এটা আরেকটু পরে আসবে, আরেকটু আস্তে আস্তে ক্লিয়ার হবে। এটা কি বোঝা গেছে যে R1 R2 কি জিনিস? Are you clear about R1 R2? These are just some proportional constant multiplied to ensure that there are some randomness in the behavior of the particles. Okay, what behavior? ওটার জন্য C1 and C2 লাগবে। Any question?
তার একটা কোশ্চেন ছিল,
হ্যাঁ বলো।
ওমেগার ভ্যালুটা কি স্যার এক একটা পার্টিকেলের জন্য ডিফারেন্ট না ইউনিক? এর আগের পার্টে যে ওমেগা
ওমেগা ভ্যালু ডিফারেন্ট, সবকিছু ডিফারেন্ট।
ওকে স্যার।
But the thing is, usually we can actually fix a particular omega for the swamp. Okay, so normally what we do, we update R1 and R2 at each iteration, but omega value we actually define at a constant value. Okay, for this constant, to keep things simpler, it is how you are defining your algorithm. You can keep it fixed, you can also change it. Usually we keep omega fixed, but we can also change it. But as for R1 and R2, we always change it. Okay, বোঝা গেছে জিনিসটা?
জি স্যার।
আচ্ছা, নাম্বার 3, C1. So C1, the C1 constant, C1 proportionality constant, C1 value that will actually control how much it is going to be influenced by the personal based, and C2 is going to control how much it is going to be influenced by the global based. Okay, now you see this local based or global based, they are not fixed, they change at each iteration. Current global based you have somewhere, but in the next iteration the global based can also change. So they are actually changing. So that's why the direction is also changing. Now, so these two variable, these two is going to control, not R1 and R2. R1 and R2 going to control the effect of these two. Achha. C1 and C2 is the values that are going to control how much they are going to be influenced. Achha, let's see. এখন C1 যদি high হয়, what will happen? Only focused on its own best. So if your C1 value is very high, okay, then the particle will only focus on its own best. Okay, it will not try to mimic others. So they will be like individual agent. They will act as individual agent. I don't care about others. I only focus on my whatever I have found solution, whatever the solution I have found. Are you following? If C2 is high, then more influenced by others. অন্যরা কি করছে? I am more influenced by others. Even if I have some solution, if I see that everyone is moving in another direction, I will try to tend to move in that direction. So that is the value of C2 is going to make. No. The C1 and C2, they are complementary. So complementary, their combination increases both exploration plus exploitation. এর মানে কি আসতেছি? আচ্ছা, I have two constants C1 and C2. If C1 becomes very high, they will become individualistic agents. If C2 becomes very high, they will be more influenced by others. আচ্ছা, so then how should be their constant value? আচ্ছা, let me explain how their constant value should be. You see, this value should not be fixed. Why? So which one do you want? Do you want exploitation or exploration?
ডিপেন্ডিং অন আমাদের এজেন্ট সলিউশন থেকে কত দূরে।
Yes, that is one thing. How far? What can be another condition? What can be other conditions?
প্রবাবলি আমাদের টাইম একটা ভালো কনস্ট্রেন্ট হতে পারে।
কিভাবে টাইম কিভাবে?
আমাদের কাছে যদি কম সময় থাকে তাহলে আমরা এক্সপ্লয়টেশন পার্সোনাল বেসের দিকে নজর না দিয়ে গ্লোবাল বেসের দিকে নজর দিতে পারি।
Okay, good point. Time can be another factor. Acha. Acha, let's see. You see, one of the thing is that when your algorithm starts, at the beginning, particles are randomly distributed. Okay. Do you have any global based at the start time? Or if you find any global based, will it be accurate?
No, sir.
No. So at the beginning, you have no accurate global based. So at the beginning steps, like first few iterations, the particles, should they follow the global based, or should they explore by themselves at first? Which will be better?
Local base.
এক্সপ্লোর করা উচিত।
Yes. You see, when you are starting, at the start time, explore yourself first. You need to explore yourself. Okay. When you keep exploring, after 5, let's say after iteration equals to 5 or 10, then the global base that you are getting is going to be good. বোঝা যাচ্ছে আমার কথা? I is equals to 5. Global based is gonna be better. আমার কথা কি বোঝা যাচ্ছে? কি বোঝা যাচ্ছে?
Yes, sir.
When your algorithm starts at the initial position, you don't really have any accurate global based because you just start. So at the start time, every particle should explore by themselves. Then after you keep exploring for 5 steps or 5 iteration or 10 iteration, they are going to find some local base that is going to be much accurate. So for all the local base that you have, you will the global base that you find it is going to be good. Are you following?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
So how do we do that in algorithm?
compare
Yes.
after every steps.
Huh?
Compare after 10 steps, like আমি 10টা স্টেপের পর সবগুলা লোকাল বেস্ট কম্পেয়ার করলাম।
So you see, you start with a high C1 value and a weak C2 value. So when you start your algorithm, the C1 value should be higher and C2 value should be lower. Then what will happen? When the C1 value will high, they will explore by themselves. Okay. And since C2 value is low, they are less influenced by the other behavior. বোঝা যাচ্ছে আমার কথা?
জি স্যার।
And you do that, let's say for I less than 10 in your algorithm, you can write it easily. Iteration 10 less than 10, this will be our setup. Clear? So it should be the omega value.
sir. একটা question.
Low.
Low হবে?
না,
Uh,
বেশি হবে।
High.
exploitation করতে হবে না যদি C1 যদি স্ট্রং থাকে, মানে পার্সোনাল এটা যদি চিন্তা করি তাহলে
You see, you are at the beginning, your goal is to explore.
Oh.
When do we get to explore more?
when omega is high.
High, yes. You see, at first, I want to explore more. I don't want to look at others. C2 is what is actually making me looking at others. I want to keep it low. C1 is what is making me look at my own area. If I keep omega low, then I will be isolated in very small space. If I keep it high, I will move farther away, farther away, farther away. That's better at the beginning. Okay, that means I'm covering much more area. Every agent is going to cover much more area. Okay. Any question?
স্যার, আমার একটা কোয়েশ্চেন ছিল, সেটা হচ্ছে why am I fixing a number of iteration? মানে আমি তো এটা করতে পারি যে when একটা গ্লোবাল বেসড মানে গোল পাস্টের এত গোলের এত কাছে গেলে দেন আমি হচ্ছে এই চেঞ্জ করবো। আমি তো এরকম একটা প্যারামিটার দিতে পারি রাদার দেন একটা ইটারেশন প্যারামিটার দেওয়া হচ্ছে।
হ্যাঁ, বুঝতে পারছি তোমার কথাটা। You see, একটা solution space there can be multiple solutions. Okay. In the previous class, we have talked about global optima, local optima. There is no way for the AI agents to know whether they are following a local optima or global optima. বোঝা যাচ্ছে আমার কথা? That's why the checking that you're seeing, the goal test that you are trying to say, that is not going to be accurate because there is no way going to, this is like a comparison. There is no way for the agent to know whether they are following a global based or local based. That's why we have to keep the term of iteration. We are assuming that after 10 iteration, they have explored some enough space to move towards global based. বোঝা গেছে?
হ্যাঁ, বাট মানে কোয়েশ্চেনটা করছিলাম বিকজ আই ফেল লাইক মানে যদি একটা ইটারেশন নাম্বার সিলেক্ট করে দিই এটা হালকা আরবিট্রারি হয়ে যায় যে মানে
Yes,
ইট কুড বি
আমি জাস্ট ইটারেশন নাম্বারটা যেটা সিলেক্ট করার কথা বলতেছি এটা হচ্ছে বেসড অন ইন জেনারেল, নট যে তোমাকে এটা ইউজ করতে হবে। ইন জেনারেল ধরে নিচ্ছ যে ডিপেন্ডিং অন দ্য সার্চ প্রবলেম কমপ্লেক্সিটি দেয়ার উইল অলওয়েজ বি, ইউ হ্যাভ টু ফিক্স ইটারেশন ভ্যালু। সো ইট ইজ বেসড অন how much you will test with, let's say, iteration 50. Do you get the solution? If you don't find the solution, then make it 100. It changes. Okay. There is no way to fix it earlier. Okay.
Yeah, makes sense.
Now, gradually, as you after some time, as some time spends, C1 value, should I keep it high or should I lower it?
Lower it.
Lower it.
Yes. As we gradually move on, I should start looking at, because I have some local best. Everyone has find some local best in their own. And so the global best that you have so far is going to be something good. Okay. So what do you do now? You start prioritizing the other values, the global best. You have some local best, okay. You have some, if you have some better global best, okay, move in that direction. So you lower the C1, you increase the C2. What do you do with the W?
Lower.
Yes, you want to lower now. You don't want to move faster because you want move towards convergence. So you want to lower the W a little bit gradually so that you can exploit the best solution found by the group. Okay, আচ্ছা।
ওই ইটারেশনে ওই মোমেন্টে যে আমাদের গ্লোবাল বেস্ট আছে ওইটা থেকে যাতে আমরা কারেক্ট সলিউশনটা পাই এর জন্য আমরা ওমেগাটাকে কমাচ্ছি।
হ্যাঁ, আমরা ওমেগাটা কমাচ্ছি, আমরা মুভমেন্টটাকে একটু কমাই দিচ্ছি। এটা হচ্ছে ভেলোসিটি, কত ফাস্ট মুভ করতেছে, মুভমেন্টটাকে একটু স্লো করে দিচ্ছি। ওকে, আচ্ছা, this will actually usually lead to convergence, let's hope so, and mathematically C1 and C2 value is actually kept around 2. আচ্ছা, any questions so far?
Yes, sir.
হ্যাঁ।
আমি হচ্ছে R1 R2 এর ভ্যালু মানে 0 থেকে 2 এর মধ্যে রাখছি and C1 C2 on almost similar মানে as you said যে 2 এর আশেপাশে. So why is it that C1 C2 is the controlling parameter?
দেখি, আননোন 0 থেকে 2 ছিল। আননোন ভ্যালু সাধারণত 0 থেকে 1 এর মধ্যে মনে হয়। 0 থেকে 1, এটা 0 থেকে 2 না, এটা হচ্ছে 2। এটার ভ্যালু হচ্ছে 2 এর কাছাকাছি। This is not 0 to 2, this is around 2. Okay, and you see when you are multiplying R1 C1, আচ্ছা, let's say for one particle C1 value is 2, okay, but the R1 value for that particle is 0.1. Another particle you have 2, R1 value is 0.9. Okay, now which one will have higher cognitive focus? Second one.
Yes.
So the multiplication factor for this one is higher, right?
Yes.
So the R1 value is controlling because it is randomly, it is not fixed value. You are not changing C1. I am gradually changing C1 and C2 over the iterations, but R1, R2 for each iteration, for each particle, it is randomly assigned to ensure that the behavior of the swarm is not something fixed. It does not move in the always in the move in the same way. It is going to insert some randomness. One particle is okay, most or more, you say 50% of the particle is moving towards this, yeah, but there is one particle that is not following that criteria. So that's why it is the like this is the main value that I'm controlling. This is the randomness.
Okay, so
Okay.
if I were to just sum up, the values of C is there to ensure how much influence of the best, I mean local or global, and R is
Yes.
for the randomness.
Yes, R is for the randomness. Is it clear so far?
স্যার র্যান্ডমনেস এর পার্টটা একটু বুঝিয়ে বললে ভালো হতো।
So in our solution of the PSO, what do we have so far? We have omega. This is what is controlling the velocity of the, okay, how much we are moving, how much velocity we have. We have C1 that is controlling our local, how much we are actually influenced by our local best. C2 is how much we are influenced by the global best. And these two terms, so that not all the particles in the swarm act in the same way. I don't want that. I don't want all the particles work in the same way. That's why they are multiple by other R1 and R2. These are randomly initialized. Okay, they are not randomly randomly selected for each iteration. They are changing. So let's say I have said that C1 starts with 2, then gradually increase. Okay, fine. You start C1 at let's say 3, then gradually increase to 1.5, fine. But not all the particles will have behave like this way. So for some particles, R1 value will be 2. Since C1 value is 1.5, so the total form is 3. That means they are actually having, they are moving in the local based very strongly. But for another one, R1 value is only 0.1 and C1 is 1.5. So it is very small, 0 point something. So it is not following local based at all. So you see, even though you have a particular C1, you are making a particle C1, you still don't want all the particles to follow that one. You want some random, some particles should still behave in a different way so that you can actually explore a little bit more. Okay, you don't want to get stuck in a local optima. That's why you are keeping these random parameters, randomness. Okay.
বুঝতে পারছি, থ্যাংক ইউ।
Okay, so let's see. We have another one, another term ছিল হচ্ছে n. N is the swarm size. Okay, this is the swarm size. Acha. So this is actually, if n is higher, the diversity of the swarm will be higher. Okay, so if you have more particles, you have better exploration, right? You have more better exploration. So this is actually depend on the search space. Okay, this is actually depend on the search space. If your search space is very large, you need more particles, more swarm size should be higher. Acha. Only downside is that complexity, computational complexity increases. With more n, you will need more time, you will need more processing power to actually complete the iterations. Okay? So that's why you don't need too much. If you put too much, it will be overcrowded. Then they will not be able to follow their global behavior. They will not be able to find the global behavior. So you keep it moderate. So you keep it moderate, not too low, not too high. Then it will be actually give you to the solution. And usually it is kept around 20 to 30, varying on general problem, something like this. This is just random value. I'm just giving you some idea. Okay, 20 to 30 particles for a moderate search space is enough. Now, let's give you one or two conditions. If C1, I hope that you have understood so far. তোমাদের কি অ্যালগরিদমটা আইডিয়া হয়েছে মোটামুটি?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I hope that you have some idea, and definitely you have to go through. I'll provide you a couple of articles. Definitely go through those articles. Then it will be much more clear. Acha. C1 and C2. What will happen if I make C1 and C2 0?
It will be just random.
It will not move.
That's the wrong answer. It will move because you have the W and omega and theta. The direction becomes 0.
It will move in a only direction, only one direction.
So you see, আমার যদি পার্টিকলটা এখানে আমি ইনিশিয়েট করি এই ডিরেকশনে, এটা এই পাশে যে বাউন্ডারিতে যা ধাক্কা খাবে। আরেকটা পার্টিকল যদি এই পাশে ইনিশিয়েট করা হয়েছে এই দিকে যাইতে থাকবে, এখানে যা ধাক্কা খাবে। So it will move in the only one direction, in their own direction, the where they actually started, initialized, and they'll keep moving in that direction until they hit the boundary. Clear? Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So that's the thing. Don't write. They will have no inertia, no movement. They will have movement. These are for direction. Keep these things in mind. Another scenario is, let's say C1 is greater than 0. C2 is equals to 0. C1 is positive but no C2. What will happen?
লোকাল সলিউশনটা খুঁজবে।
এটা এক্সপ্লয়টেশনের দিকে যাবে। মানে জাস্ট মানে আশেপাশে যা আছে
they are going to perform local search. They are going to perform, basically they are going to perform local search. They will not follow the global behavior. Okay, so how likely is it that you are going to find a solution in this case?
It should be impossible.
It should be,
এটা
It should not be possible.
it is a random মানে it could পাইতেও পারে নাও পাইতে পারে বাট ইটস ভেরি আনলাইকলি আর কি টু হ্যাভ অপটিমাম সলিউশন
no. If your C2 is 0, if your C2 is 0, you are not going to get any convergence. You see, you want the particles to, at least most of the particles to converge at some point. Okay, that's your solution. Where most of your particles are at the end of the iteration, that's your solution. That's the global best. If C2 is completely 0, the particles, each of the particles is moving in their random direction. No or very less likely. So if the particles are moving in their own way, in own direction, there are very small chance that they are going to converge at a point. All the particles are not going to converge because particles starts to converge when they tend to mimic others. Okay. অন্যরা ওইদিকে যাচ্ছে আমিও একটু যাই, depending on my local base different. So if C2 is completely 0, there is no chance they are mimicking others. Everyone is going to satisfy in their own best solution. So very less chance they are going to converge. So the algorithm is not going to find a solution. What will happen if it is the opposite? C2 is greater than 0, C1 is equals to 0.
Global search.
So the entire swarm is going to move in one direction. Okay. So to a single point, because they are just following their global behavior. So any global base they found, whatever, if you start with even from the beginning, then that is going to be bad. But after 10, let's say you have turned off C1 completely 0, C2, whatever the global base you have found after 10 iteration, all the particles swarm is going to move in that direction. Okay, it is depends on how you're changing and after which iteration you are making this decision. It's like that. Okay, any question so far? So you see, this is the basic PSO algorithm. Okay, I hope you have understand how PSO works. Okay, this is a little bit complex, not that much actually simple. So you have to understand it properly how the parameters actually function and how everything comes together to give you the solution. Okay, so study some of the articles that I will provide. And this PSO have some variations like genetic algorithm based PSO, many variants. Okay, PSO was invented like 20-30 years ago, and there are many variations after that, like evolutionary PSO, then multi-objective PSO. I think I forgot some of the other names. Okay, so there are different variations. You don't have to worry about those things. Okay, so PSO is not always perfect. It has limitations, but to like let go of those limitations, there are different variations. Another algorithm similar like PSO. In PSO, we are moving based on like the swarm behavior, defining C1 R1. Another one is echo. Echo is for ant colony optimization. Ant colony. And in that case, the decision is made based on the they actually emit a kind of কি বলবো ওটাকে ভুলে গেলাম অ্যান্ড ইয়ে করে সিক্রেট করে কি জিনিস ফেরোমন they emit a little bit of pheromone to identify mark their path, and the decision is based on how much pheromone is actually on the path. Okay, so that will be your self study. I'll provide you the article. That should be enough, but this is your self study. Similar concept, but just same population based search, but the values that you have C1 parameters that you have, they are going to be changed. Here you have C1, R1, C2, R2, and omega. These parameters is going to change. Okay. So I will provide an article for your echo that if you read the article, that should be enough. Okay. Any question?
স্যার যখন C2 greater than 0 তখন গ্লোবাল বেসড ডিফাইন করবে কিভাবে?
C2 যদি greater than 0, it is based on actually when. Let's say after I is equals to 10, you are making this. So after 10 iteration, you have a global based. Then you follow. Right?
জি স্যার। ইটারেশন ফিক্স থাকবে নাকি এটা নিজের মতো?
Iteration depending on whether you are converging to a solution or not. আমি তোমাদের দেখাই. Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
আচ্ছা. Muspelheim. Let's take a video. Okay, this is আচ্ছা এটা একটা simulation I found on internet. YouTube. You can find there are many simulation. You can search and see how what you're actually doing. You see the population size is 100, 200, blah blah blah. They're simulating. Okay, see, this is the movement. You have the solution. This is only one. I have only one objective, and this is how the swarms are moving. Are you following?
Yes, sir.
Are you following? See the particles. All the particles. Okay. Gradually converging. Okay. At this point, you see, they are not all the particles are moving in the same direction. Everyone is moving in different directions. Some of their velocity is larger, some of their velocity is small. Okay. Gradually, after some time, they are like moving towards. As to say. So this is actually how a PSO actually try to converge. Any question? So you see there are some of the values C1, C2. You can change those values and they will actually move in different ways. আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে
আমার একটা কোশ্চেন আছে এখানে
Okay, you can also search for some of the simulation by yourself. Yeah. Any question? So this is up to today. One thing about this one, for your lab, okay, there will be an optional assignment. Optional assignment I give for your bonus mark at the end. If you need some bonus mark to increase your grade one grade or two. So the optional assignment will be PSO using Python. MATLAB PSO simulation. You have to create a simulation for PSO. Okay, using Python, MATLAB, I think MATLAB has a toolbox for PSO. Try to create, if you see if you can create Python. This is optional. You don't have to do this. If you want to do this, it's fine. Okay, so that will be for your lab. I will announce in the Google Classroom. Okay, if no other question, please write your student ID in the chat box.